Probability is a ratio of the chances of an event occurring. To calculate your probability, it's pretty much the ways that end up working for you that you would find favorable over the total possible ways that could occur. So let's take a look at the probability here. Let's look at what's the probability of exactly two heads being tossed, or getting two heads when you flip a coin 3 times. Well, when you flip a coin once, you could have a head or you could have a tail. But then when you flip a coin again, for each one of these, you could have two more options. You could have a head on the first coin, and then on the second time you flip, you could have a head or you could have a tail. Or if you get a tail the first time, you could have a head or you could have a tail. Doesn't make a difference. Well, let's take a look over here. For our third coin, you could have a head or tail off of this one, head or tail off of this one, head or tail off of this one, or a head or tail off of this one here. So this is a tree diagram that lists all the different ways you could flip 3 coins and all the outcomes that occur. You could have a head, followed by a head, followed by a head. You could have a head, followed by a head, followed by a tail. And that's one of those that works for us because we're looking for exactly 2 heads. It is possible you could have a head, followed by a tail, and then a head. And that's another possibility that works for us. Or you could have a head, followed by a couple of tails. Instead of starting off with a head, you could have started off with a tail and then had 2 heads. Or a tail, head, tail, and 2 tails and then a head, or 2 tails and another tail. Okay? So these are different outcomes that you could have. Now this list of 8 outcomes that we have here, instead of making a tree diagram over here to get it, you could have made an organized list of all the different ways you could arrange H's and T's to be able to come up with this. Now you'll notice there are 3 highlighted ones because those are the only 3 that have 2 heads in them. So we would say our probability is 3 out of how many possibilities are there? 8. And so our probability is 3/8. Now, what's the chance that 3 coins are tossed and we get 3 heads? Well, you notice 3 heads, that's the top one. That only occurs 1 time. It occurs 1 out of 8 times, so your probability then is 1 out of 8. Then we have odds. Odds are ways that work for you over ways that don't. And typically odds are written as a fraction or as a ratio separated by a colon. As you read through this one here, it says, what are the odds that a male born in 1990 dies before age 65? Well, born in 1990 lives to be at least 65 is 3 in 4. So how many of these 4 die before age 65, since that's what we're looking for? 1. So your odds would be 1 over, and then how many of these 4 do not die before 65, and that's our 3. So you could write your odds as a fraction of 1/3, or as a side ratio going 3 to 1. Down here, we're looking at females born in 1990 that will die after 65. Females is listed here. So die after 65 means they live to be at least 65, so that's 17. Well, of these 20, how many don't live to be that long? That's 3. So your odds would be 17 over 3, or 17 to 3.